We're live, alright. Let's give this thing a minute to get working, and then we shall get started with the review that everyone has apparently wanted. So get excited. Get excited, everyone. We're going to review Rogue One. Alright, I think it's working. It says that there's elapsed time. There it is. There's the video. Hey, there's me again. Okay, we do have a few people in here. Awesome. Hey, creator. Hey, Spartan Soldier. Let's say we get this review started, shall we? So, this is being recorded on the second day of 2017, January 2nd. Why did my phone buzz as soon as I started this? It's ominous. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's nothing. Yesterday, 1st of January, after going to a New Year's Eve party that lasted till about 3 in the morning, my girlfriend and I got up at about 10 o'clock and went to see Rogue One in this really, really nice theater. Oh, thanks, Spartan Soldier. Went to go see this in this really nice theater. Go see Rogue One with her. Hey, Syndros. Hey, Palpatine. Went to go see Rogue One in this nice theater with her mom and her sister. And then I was going to do the video right after that, but then we both proceeded to just pass out afterward because the party went pretty late. So I don't drink, but it's still a tiring experience being a party that late. So anyway, so I had promised that I had expected that she would be here for that, but she has work today and everything, so whatever. We're just going to go ahead with the review by myself because this is this was an interesting experience. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad movie, so let's start off by saying the quick one-line review for this movie is it's not perfect, but it is so much more of a Star Wars movie than Episode 7 was. This feels like where Episode 7 was just kind of, let's remake Episode 4. You can't really dispute that at this point. Let's remake Episode 4, and it just didn't have a Star Wars feel for me in spite of all the Star Wars stuff in it. But Rogue One felt like a brand new Star Wars movie, and that was like magic for me. The feeling of like I'm in this theater and I'm watching a new Star Wars movie unfold was like, wow, this feels so good. I was if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you know my reaction during the movie. You saw the tweet and post I did yesterday. Not going to get into it again, but Syndros, I'll answer that question a little later. Has the movie rekindled my interest in Star Wars? We'll talk about that in a little bit, because that is somewhat pertinent to the discussion whether or not I feel like I can enjoy Star Wars again. Anything to say about Carrie Fisher? Oh no, Cypher. I actually didn't talk at all in the movie. That's another, like, I never got up to go to the bathroom and I never talked. That should say two good things about this movie. Happy New Year, Robert Adams. Thank you. Do I have anything to say about Carrie Fisher, though? I mean, it's very sad that Princess Leia is no longer with us. But, it's just sad. There's no real other thing to say, I guess. It's going to be weird to see what they do going forward because I'm sure she was in Episode 8, but we'll see. Anyway, I want to actually review the movie, if that's possible. I'm going to try to work my way through as much as I can, kind of like I did with Ed with the Force Awakens review. All the new characters were far more interesting to me than the old characters were. or than the Episode 7 characters. Like, this is going to call back between the two a lot, but considering they're the two newest Star Wars movies in like a decade plus, it's pretty germane to the discussion to talk about the two movies against each other. So, all the new characters on the Rogue One, which... So, going into this movie, I was like, oh my god, please, why is that going to be the inspiration for Rogue Squadron? You know that name was the name of the movie because they wanted something to, in the future, call back to Rogue, to have Luke in a comic or a book or something, be like, let's name it Rogue Squadron because of Rogue One. Whatever. Fine. I was annoyed with that idea, but after having seen this movie, it's actually more okay for me, because I think we do have to get into the mindset that, like, and this is coming from me, the expanded universe that we all knew is really gone, and, like, it has to start fading away at some point, and I know that's gonna... The people who spam my videos being like, save the EU petition... We're so far beyond that point that it's impossible. It's not going to happen. But in light of that, it's okay for having seen this movie for Rogue Squadron to be done by Rogue One. Now, one thing that I love that they did in this movie is there was no, like, I feel like one of the problems with Rebels, on the surface, I haven't even watched Rebels, but one of my problems even looking at the show is there are so many Jedi and Force users hanging out in this one crew. It's pretty bothersome to me to be like, oh, look at all these Jedi. Like, yeah, some survived, but they seem to last pretty long into the Rebellion and into the Empire. Like, well, that shouldn't happen. So the fact that there's... I was so worried going into this movie that they were going to make the main character a Jedi, the girl, Jyn. I was so worried that she was going to be a Jedi. I was like, please don't do that. She wasn't, which was fantastic. And the closest thing they have to a Jedi in the movie is basically a Jedi, but he's more of a local sect, like Force sensitive, which I actually thought was the best. I was like, Donnie Yen's character, he is basically a Jedi, but he's not actually a Jedi. He's just like a local kind of thing from Jeddah, which was so great. I was like, thank God they gave Donnie Yen something to do. Although I will say, I wish he'd been able to do a little more, like, cool fighty stuff. Like, he does it in the beginning, and then that's kind of it. He doesn't really get to do more fighting stuff, like, for the whole rest of the movie. But whatever. What are you going to do? But, oh man, there's just so much to work through. All the members of the crew, all the crew members of the Rogue One were great. Donnie Yen and his buddy, the two Guardians of the Temple, whatever temple it is, from Jeddah. Saul, or Howard Soul, whatever. He was great as the... I think everyone said he's a callback to Rebels. I don't really care. He was fine in the movie. Are you worried about Star Wars becoming as oversaturated as superheroes, or no? Well, if they treat them like Rogue One, they're not going to become oversaturated at all. I don't want to go into spoilers already, but don't be surprised. I mean, you're watching my video review. Don't be surprised if spoilers happen. So this is a spoiler. I'm going to start spoilers now. So the fact that the entire crew dies, Saw Gerrera, thank you. Gerrera, there we go. That's Saw, not Soul, sorry. The fact that the entire crew of the Rogue One dies is such a good way to tell the story, and it's so awesome that they could take that, and yet somehow this doesn't feel like a wasted story, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't matter. Like, it felt impactful, and it felt hopeful, and it felt it just felt great, even with them all dying. Like, it's actually fantastic that they managed to pull that off. To me, that's like the biggest success of the movie, is they killed all these characters, and you still, I could watch it again and still care about all of their developments, even without them being there anymore. Yeah, I'll talk about Vader in a little bit. I definitely have some thoughts on Vader. Don't worry. One minor quibble that my girlfriend and her mom and her sister all pointed out in the car is one of the worst offenders, actually, of weirdness in this movie is when the director goes and talks to Vader, which was awesome. And James Earl Jones being Vader was like, wow, that's amazing. Him being in the back of the tank, I don't super hate that. I feel like that's okay, mostly because he has that chamber where he kind of takes his suit off, and I could understand them giving him Bacta treatments. So I'm not super against the whole Vader in the Bacta tank thing. What I did hate in that scene, though, was when Vader makes a pun about force choking. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Vader does not make puns, okay? Vader doesn't go like, choke on your thing. Like, no, you don't do that. That really bothered me a lot. But what else? Speaking of Vader, I guess we'll talk about, Syndros mentioned Tarkin CGI. So Tarkin, and Tarkin's the big one, where they have a character come back in CGI. Zach, I'm gonna kind of go back way later over all that. I kind of covered it already. You guys can all watch the full video when it comes out, when I'm done with the stream. And the chamber was just his helmet. I understand it was just his helmet, but I don't know. I'm not super, like, I feel like it's kind of okay. But yeah, the pun was annoying. Tarkin CGI was fantastic. Like, that looked great. But Tarkin looked, it didn't look perfect. It's almost that uncanny valley area where if you put it next to a real person, like they cut between him and the director, it was like there was some factor that was missing on Tarkin, even though he looked like a person, that made him fake. It made him noticeably fake in my mind. But they also did, at the very end, the Leia shot, which I thought looked fantastic. I actually was like, wow, that looks like young Carrie Fisher. That's amazing. And then there's also shots of Gold and Red Leader, and the idea was mentioned that it was old footage from 4. I'm pretty sure that's not true. I'm pretty sure that's not. Vader saying apology accepted, Captain Nita, is not the same at all. I would totally say that that's different. And 879, I'm going to get to that in a sec. Vader being like, apology accepted as Nita dies, that I don't see that as a pun. I see that as like the blackest humor versus choke on it while he's choking. Like, that's too meta that he knows that that's called the choke, the force choke. Like, that's a little too much. Yeah, Tarkin is tall. Yeah. Peter Cushing is pretty tall. It was pretty tall, I believe. But the leaders of the Red and Blue Squadron, or Gold Squadron, looked perfect. And also the Red 5 call-out was so good. The one last thing, I'm going to try to start over at the beginning of the movie in a second, but the one thing that was brought up in the comments just now was the Vader fight scene, where Vader basically attacks as they try to get the signal, the chip to the Tantive 4. Wait, it was actually edited footage? Wow! If that was unused footage from 4, that's amazing. It looked totally perfect. That's wild. Wow. But anyway, the scene where Vader comes out of the... Okay, now I don't know. Nah, I don't care. It's irrelevant to the point. It looked perfect, and they were totally on point. And the guy who was Red 5 dying on the dying was fantastic, because no one else in my girlfriend and her mom and sister didn't catch that Red 5 was Luke's number, and that him dying opened up the slot for Luke at the Battle of Yavin in like a week. But anyway, what was I trying to say? Oh, when Vader attacks the guys, I was like, that was perfect. When he's not moving fast, but he's just like a machine of death, and he comes out of the blackness and it's the one lightsaber you see in all movie. I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was perfectly done to have Vader come out and attack them like that. I think it was a little ridiculous. That plays into... I think it was a little ridiculous how they got the plans to the Tantive 4. Just shutting a hatch in front of Vader shouldn't stop him. Like, everyone always acts like the Force needs line of sight. It totally doesn't. And they never really address that in the movies. I think maybe it's too complicated for movie audiences to understand that if they don't have this virtual line of sight, like even when he chokes out Nita on the video, like... It doesn't, the Force doesn't just stop, okay? You can't just block a guy with a door, and he can't choke out the guy or slam him into the wall or something. So, I don't know, that bothered me a little. And the Tantive 4 being hidden away on the Rebel flagship. So, it's funny, my girlfriend's mom actually put on Episode 4 right after, and at the beginning where they're always like, this is a diplomatic ship, and all this other stuff, like, how are you planning on getting away with it being a diplomatic vessel if they saw you fly out of the Rebel flagship? I feel like something that would have been better was if, like, the Rebel flagship had, like, launched an escape pod with someone in it, and they had, like, had to do, like, an intercept with the Tantive 4, where, like, a guy on a tether or something like that, like the Martian, or something like that. I feel like that would have been a lot better. Like, if the Tantive 4 was kind of skirting around and was, like, requesting to land or something because it was a diplomatic vessel or something, and they used that more than just they were on the ship. Like, they were on the Rebel flagship, and that really bothers me. So, did try to pull the data tape away with the Force, but he missed. Well, you're not supposed to be able to interact with, I don't know. That's fine, but they didn't show that in the movie, and I haven't read any of the books or anything. What do I think about the ghost being in the movie? What ghost are you guys talking about? I keep seeing that. Couldn't Vader use the Force to physically stop the Tantive 4 from escaping? I think the idea of Vader has always been that his Force powers have been dampened by being Vaderized Anakin Skywalker. Whether or not that's true, there's been scenes to contradict that and things like that, but in the end, they needed the Tantive 4 to escape. Again, that's why I think it would have been better if the Tantive 4... Like, I think it would have been so cool if Vader's going to land on the Hammerhead scene was amazing. That Hammerhead Corvette, I was totally freaking out when I saw that Hammerhead, even if it was modified. When they, like, push it in, and oh my god, the 2 Star Destroyers, I thought that was fantastic. But anyway, that's not what I'm trying to talk about. The scene where, like, I think, again, I think the Tantive 4 would have been better if the Rebel, like, so you could still have the scene where Vader's working his way, cutting down guys on the Rebel flagship, and you see, like, one guy trying to get to an escape pod as Vader cuts down guys behind him, and then the escape pod blasts out just as the last guy falls, and it flies close to the Tantive 4, but it doesn't actually get picked up. But there's enough space in there, like, you actually, like, there's no one who knows, but from the Rebel point of view, they see a guy where they like, catch a guy, or the guy somehow, like, throws it out and then dies in the escape pod or something. Like, that would have been so much better for me having just seen the beginning of 4 again, where they could totally get away with that transmissions thing. Like, we didn't intercept any transmissions. We're not wrong. We didn't intercept direct transmissions. We are a diplomatic vessel. We were just there. It's not a problem. So that would have been great. But that's not, again, that's not a huge problem. So let's okay. I'm gonna go over some general topics. I'm gonna ignore the chat for a little bit. So I'm gonna cover up the chat for a minute. And I'm gonna just talk for a second because I keep getting distracted reading your guys' comments and stuff. So the story overall was great. It's obviously not have to do with Topwara or anything like that, but this is the new canon. So, and honestly, this is okay. The whole plan at one place, director, Krennic, and everything like that. That's fine. I actually think this is. I'll accept this over writing the expanded universe stuff. Actually, the music was great. There wasn't any. It wasn't a ton of Star Wars-y music, but I actually stayed through the entire credits, and hearing the actual theme come in at the end was fantastic. The music just does very well. It feels Star Wars-y, but it also, again, felt like new music, which I thought was great. Yeah, this is a spoiler video, Saskill. You guys missed it. Ghost is the ship from Rebels. Was that the Hammerhead? I guess so. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't make me want to watch Rebels. Yeah, if this is a console ship, where's the ambassador and all that? Yeah. Anyway, I gotta ignore the chat. The new ships were fine. The one ship that they fly on, the Rogue One, and the Imperial. Well, actually, the Imperial transport ships. I always get tired. I've had this annoyance, especially in like Episode 7. Where they keep going to this ship design with folding wings or like tucking in wings, and it's always about the moving wings on these frickin' things in Star Wars. And they still kind of do that here, but I guess it's okay. I mean, I guess I'm just kind of getting over it. Like, the ship that they start out on before they go to the Imperial Transport, and even the Imperial Transport shuttles are just like flat beds with this thing. And why was Krennic in that weird shuttle? Why was he not... Just put him in a Lambda. Like, the Lambdas were used everywhere. There's no reason for Krennic to not be in a Lambda. He's, like... Either you're saying that he's more important than Tarkin is, and so he gets a better shuttle than the Emperor and, like, Vader have, or he's piloting this garbage shuttle for no reason. He's the director of the Death Star project until the middle of the movie. Like, give him a better freaking shuttle. Why is he on this weird other shuttle? Just to be cool? Like, I get that you want to do your own designs, but stop. Like, if you already have this functional thing, stop making new stuff. You don't need to. Other than that, like, the folding design, and can we stop with the 4 engine nozzles, like an X-Wing? Like, the X-Wing was great. Can we stop trying to make the X-Wing everywhere? Like, we constantly keep seeing the X-Wing. And I'm tired of seeing the 4 little dots, 4 little dots. TIEs don't have that. All the Empire's models have, like, the slit engines. Like, have more things like that. I don't know. I did not get a Star Trek vibe over Scarif. I got a Star Wars vibe. I got a very Return of the Jedi vibe when they were having the space battle. And I was freaking out when they started the battle over Scarif. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Krennic liked the shuttle so much he asked it to be assigned as his personal transport. Death Troopers were named after the Advanced Weapons Project to reanimate the undead troopers. Ugh. Krennic's random guards again. Why does Vader have Royal Guardsmen? I saw Royal Guardsmen at Vader's Bacta tank. I don't recall Vader ever getting access to Royal Guardsmen. Those were just for the Emperor, I thought. Yeah, Kylo Ren's shuttle looks just like Krennic's shuttle. Like, why are you making this visual reference that shouldn't exist? Yeah, he wants to stand out. Well, why? Why does he want to stand out? All these Imperial guys use the Lambda. Just use the freaking Lambda. There's a reason it's a mass-produced model, but the Emperor uses it too. I don't know. That's a frustrating bit. Let's see. What else? Still plenty left to... X-Wing is the only... Yeah, I know there's only X-Wings, but what... the X-Wings in Force Awakens are fine because those are... I mean, in the expanded universe, they were still used for 40 years. They were just upgraded and stuff. According to Rebels, it was Thrawn's idea to develop the TIE Defender. Fine. Pan shots felt kind of Star Trek-y. Better than when J.J. Abrams did them in Episode 7. Also, his castle is built over a former Sith fortress and cavern. Oh my god. Anyway, let's get back on track. But things like the new blaster that that Donnie Yen's friend has. I'm just gonna call him Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen's only served Palpatine, but assigned to high-value targets. I guess so. Who was the guy that bowed to Vader? Yeah, who knows? People think it was Snoke. That'd be so awful if Snoke is the guy who is bowing to Vader in his castle. I would actually be really disappointed in that. Just let Snoke be some new guy. He doesn't have to be connected to the Empire in any stupid way. Castle was built on Mustafar. Why? Why would he do that? Why would Vader... If Vader ignores the name Skywalker because he hates Tatooine so much, why would he build his castle on Mustafar? That kind of goes against that character, actually. Yeah, I was hoping his castle would be on Vajun, but they had to make it iconic, so let's have lava everywhere. That actually is disappointing when you think about it. Excuse me. So let's work our way through the movie. So we start out with the beginning where Galen is basically run away with his family. I thought that was actually great. Seeing that he's an Imperial guy who defected instead of just being a highbrow rebel. The Emperor forced him to live there. Why? His name was Vane? I don't know if ruling counts. Whatever. All of the Snoke theories will be debunked. Why would the Snoke theories be debunked when Episode 8 comes out? I don't know. Just going step by step through the movie, starting out with her at a young age. Actually, it was really funny. My girlfriend's mom was like, why do we miss all these intervening years of her as a young girl? And I was like, that's a really silly thing to complain about. Why are you freaking out about her being young? I don't know. It just seemed pretty silly. Memes. Because memes. Because that's where Vader was technically born. That doesn't... Anyway, getting back to it, I keep trying to start from the beginning of the movie. Starting with her young, and her growing up, and kind of being a criminal and trying to fight to get away from the rebels, and the droid is very funny. B2, I guess. I don't remember like half the names. Like most of the names I just don't remember, but I remember the characters much more. Like the fact that the captain, his name sounds too much like Captain Cassian. The fact that the first scene of him meeting with a guy is where he kills the guy who's giving him information was fantastic. Oh, the lack of opening crawl. I actually thought it was fine to not have an opening crawl on a side movie. I think with a Star Wars story, there's no real need to connect it to overall, and you kind of get the feel for it anyway. I feel like that was okay. I do think it's weird how they just called it Rogue One and they didn't say Star Wars Rogue One. That bothered me a little. I was like, why? I get this is a side movie, but why are you calling it? Why aren't you calling it Star Wars? Why are you calling it just Rogue One? It makes it sound like it's not a Star Wars movie. K2SO. Okay, K2 SO. K2. What else? Anyway, so moving on from the beginning, we see her as the criminal, and then she gets rescued, and it was awesome when she beat the rebel guys up. And then she went to find Saw, and her friend killed the guy, and it's like, that's cool because that shows him following orders. And then that scene of him killing the informant really is awesome because it gives him character growth. I know it had Star Wars in the title, but the title shot that said Rogue One did not say Star Wars Rogue One. It just said Rogue One, which was, again, a little strange in my mind. He's not channeling his pain by being able to take on his suit and put it in the back of the tank. You're not going to convince me. I understand all the dark side related reasons for putting him on Mustafar. I don't think he should have been on Mustafar, period. Like, that's the end of the story. I think that was just to say, hey, look at Mustafar again. There's lava. But anyway, having the whole, like, temple thing, and them using the word Kyber crystals was really cool when they constantly say, like, hey, look at these Kyber crystals that the Empire's stealing for their big project. I was like, yeah, Kyber crystals, that's awesome. I just thought that was such a cool little bit to include. Do I wish there was more character development? Nope. I thought there was plenty. I think it actually pulls off really well the idea that Jid doesn't care about the rebellion when she fights her guys freeing her. And then they just come back and they turn around and she becomes the champion for hope. And it's like the whole idea of the movie is hope, which plays so well against what actually happens to the Rogue One squad. It just all comes together really well, actually, in my mind. I'm not gonna. I can't go through plot by plot point of the movie. That's just gonna take so long because I keep getting distracted by stuff. Another fantastic bit in the movie is the Death Star tests. Basically it nuking the planet with the Death Star, but actually showing it as an application of not just destroying a planet was awesome. Although those explosions are really slow. Yeah, the Temple Guardians were really cool. Donnie Yen was awesome. I wish he had been allowed to do more, but his one sick fight was super cool, and how he basically is I am one with the Force is with me, and having that kind of be a prayer and not be a Jedi. Like, he's so not a Jedi, he's just a Force user, and his cool bow shot, that his cool weird staff bow thing, those were all great. Those were all awesome. What else? The pilot seeming to be able to pull himself back from that whatever Saw had that made people, oh, is this telling the truth? Oh, it's crazy. And Jin and Captain Cassian and who else? K2. Like, they all are just awesome characters who really play off of everything really well. Yeah, them dying is fantastic. The fact that the Death Star is used on the own base, although it misses, just so that they can have that little moment together, which is very silly. But yeah, it's awesome to see that all happen. The First Order Star Destroyers turbo lasers use Kyber crystals? No, they don't. If they do, that's stupid. And you're also spelling Kyber as Cyber. It's Kybber? Kyber? Kybur? Or there's a U in there somewhere? I don't remember how to spell Kyber crystals, but it starts with KY. Yeah, Saw seemed like Ram Coda. Luckily, Force Awakens or Force Unleashed isn't canon anymore. What do I think about CG Tarkin? I already talked about CG Tarkin. I thought it was great, but a little too... it was almost too good. It was like Uncanny Valley area. The Imperial pilot was kind of weak. I thought he actually had good character development. He's like a scared guy who's defecting, though, and he's kind of doing the brave thing. And then he kind of comes into his own, even right at the end. He's kind of like, he charges across the field to plug that in and get the message out. And then boom. Do I want the shot to move with the Darth Vader killing everyone to the end? Nope. I think Darth Vader killing everyone was fantastic. I thought him going on that rampage really adds to the menace and power of Vader. And it makes it a lot more exciting how Vader is like the one guy who can use a Jedi. Use a lightsaber in the movie, because Donnie Yen doesn't. He just uses his cool staff, which is great. Also, shooter shot down the... Yeah. It was really ridiculous that he shot down the TIE fighter with his staff, but if you think about like what technology these guys clearly had with their blaster, like with the blaster that his friend has, that was just all super fun and awesome. I thought it was just super cool that they had all that. What do you think about, actually, yeah, I thought it was great stormtroopers being accurate. Like, I don't just want missing all over the place. I want people to die, and that was... the Resurgent class Star Destroyer does actually use kyber crystals in its guns. That's so stupid. The whole plot of this is that they're still... They're like, fighting to try to find kyber crystals in this temple for the Death Star. They're, like, tearing apart this ancient temple. Like, where did all these kyber crystals keep coming from? I don't know. Fine, whatever, they use it. You know what, I'm going to open it up if you guys have any questions or want to ask me specific things, because without like Ed here or my girlfriend here to kind of bounce things off of and to continue the conversation, I basically need you guys to keep the conversation going. So why don't you guys just post questions or comments in the chat and I'll kind of respond to them. So overall, I guess I'll just say 35 minutes into the review, a big thumbs up in terms of a Star Wars movie. It's definitely not perfect, but it was... Like, there was always something cool happening that I felt super Star Wars-y about. Like, just escaping the big wave, although, again, why are these explosions so slow? But, like, that zipping out, although hyperspacing near a planet, again, it shouldn't happen! Do you want to see the original cut of the movie? What is different about the original cut of the movie, except for that Vader scene? I don't understand. I don't understand what else is different. If it's just Vader fighting guys, then why would I want that taken out? I thought it was great. I'm not going on the Discord. I really don't want to do more audio chats. Ilum is where crystals are from. Line when he had the bag in his head. Are you serious? I'm blind was awesome. Yeah, that was amazing. Like, and little lines like that just pop. Little lines like, why are you putting it, like, they put the bag on the blind man's, are you serious? I'm blind. Like... It was so funny. Scale of 1 to 10? That's a good question. Probably an 8.5 or a 9. All the problems I had with the movie are minor and don't affect my enjoyment of it. So I guess when you come down to that, it comes down to an 8.5 or 9. Ending or story. I wanted to see the Death Star go into hyperspace. That would have been cool, but I think even better was I think that shot where they say something huge is coming out of hyperspace and you just see it over the planet's horizon. That was a fantastic way to do that shot, and I think the story is really, really well done. It kind of feels a little fast at the beginning, where there's a lot of pieces like what's going on Jeddah and what's the director doing, what's Jin doing, but then you also they come together pretty quickly, and I think this story is an amazing bit of taking disparate pieces, kind of the idea of forming the Rogue One squadron, and having it really pretty smoothly flows together. There's no like, let's team up scene. It's like, no, she sees this like force-using guy on the street, and he calls out to her because he can sense her crystal, and they have a dialogue, and then he helps her because of it, and like he's using the force, and then the pilot just joins them. It felt very organic. It was actually awesome. What do I think about the TIE Strikers? Are those the dumb TIE shots? Yeah, during the... I was freaking out when that space battle over Scarif started. I was actually freaking out. I Am One with the Force is with me was a fantastic way to differentiate Donnie Yen from being a Jedi. He is so not a Jedi because Jedi are not religious, but these guys, the temple that they guarded, they were clearly more of a religion, and that makes him not even more of not a Jedi, and it's so cool to explore non-Jedi Force users, and I think that was amazing. It was too grainy, wouldn't have got a PG. Why do Force Awakens and Rogue One both have random tentacle monsters? Can't tell you. Can I send you another Timpedia meme? God, kid creator if you feel like you need to. Did I like the Hammerhead ramming the Star Destroyers? I thought it was amazing that the Y-Wings used ion, although why they called them ion bombs, I don't know. It's just the ion cannon. The fact that they ioned a Star Destroyer and shut it down and then pushed it to ram into the other one, that was fantastic. That was such a good way to think of a cool thing to do with that scene. Honestly, like a callback to KOTOR Sith fighters. I just don't... Mr. Plinkett responding to the comments on his own. I have no idea who you're even talking about. I don't know who Mr. Plinkett is. But yeah, I don't know what the tentacle thing is. I don't know. I wish... Like, I get that the EU is dead, but you have so many cool monsters there. Why not just use them? Like, no one's going to stop you from being like, oh, look at this Terran attack coming back. Or like some cool other monster like that. You don't have to keep coming up with your own monsters. Like stop designing. Like I get that every movie of these has that the designers who want to make something new and put their own touch on Star Wars, but you're just leaving all this stuff in your wake that is just sitting there being dead. There are 18 shots that weren't in the movie that are in the trailer because Disney made them reshoot because it was too gritty, and it wouldn't have gotten them PG-13. Would it have gotten them an R rating? That seems impossible with this movie. The Hammerhead Star Destroyer is a Red Letter Media. I know who Red Letter Media is, but I don't care what their review said. The Devastator Vader Star Destroyer should be shown more. No, I don't think it needed to. I thought it was awesome how they jumped in and like clearly turned the tide of the battle because there's no Star Destroyers left, and there's just fighters, and the fact that Vader just shows up and just demolishes what's left of the Rebel fleet just says a lot. Yeah, that slamming together of the Star Destroyers was so sick. Do I believe the Death Star was deliberately aiming a super laser at Krennic? Well, yeah. Tarkin told them to target the facility. Because people won't understand what's done. Yeah, the whole idea was Tarkin's turning his back on Krennic and killing him. But just the Death Star, like, and floating upside down because the orientation doesn't matter in space, so they're just rotating to fire the super lasers. I thought that was great. They didn't always have to have the shot of it being right where the laser's on that top shot and everything like that. Oh, finally, jeez. Star Wars with no rating is impossible. It sure is. It was too light for a war movie. Well, if they made it darker, they succeeded. If I couldn't imagine this movie being lighter. I thought this was a great balance of like humor and kind of dark humor, and the fact that they all die doesn't darken the movie. You don't feel like it doesn't feel like a bunch of rapid punches. It feels like every character gets their time to be great and then die. And it just adds to the weight of what's going on with the Death Star, and it doesn't make it just dark. But the key call of hope actually feels fantastic. Forrest Whitaker's character is supposed to have a bigger role. Who did Forrest Whitaker play? Let's go to IMDb and find out. Alright, what else? R-rated Star Wars movie? I'm actually fine never seeing that. Caring about Red Letter Media is... I just... Death Star Eclipse was perfect. That Death Star Eclipse was fantastic. What... In any other... If they had done that even slightly differently, it would have been cheesy. But the fact that it just slowly and menacingly creeps across the star and then fires, that shot was so perfect. I actually absolutely loved that. And Saw Gerrera. Him having a minor role was fine. He actually got plenty of screen time. The whole first third of that movie is about let's find Saul Guerrera. That's totally fine that he didn't have a bigger role. He didn't need to. Now we know how the Tantive 4... I already talked about the Tantive 4 way earlier on. Yeah, he was in the... Oh, he was in the Clone Wars show? That's fine. I thought it was cool how he's, like, barely alive, kind of, like, being kept alive by machines. Kind of like a proto-Vader kind of thing. That was a really cool bit. Rogue One was greater because it felt like more like makes the original trilogy. Scale of Saving Private Ryan to Pearl Harbor. This is not that kind of war movie. Oh my god, that's a really weird direction to take it. Yeah, no, that doesn't really factor in for me. What do I think of Solo Vader movie? What's the point? Vader is so much better as a villain when he plays off of the good guys and he's able to work against them. Him acting on his own seems less interesting. We don't need the Anakin Skywalker as Vader movie at all. I think we're totally fine not having a Vader movie. Skirmish with the Imperial tank on Jeddah. Jetta. They spell it out there. It's gotta be J. Oh no. Is it J? Oh my god, it is Jeddah. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I lied, it's Jedha. Wow. Thought it was Jeddah for some reason. I thought the tank skirmish in the streets was fantastic. I thought that was great. That was a super, super awesome way to do it. I wish the movie developed its characters more. Nope. They all got developed great. I think they had perfect development in the scope of this movie. I don't think they needed to have any more time to sit around, and I think they all got great little character development out of the movie. I actually like that if you take away the credits in the Crawl of New Hope, it actually looks like one big movie. Kind of. As I discussed earlier, I have some issues with how the Tantive 1 was handled. Not horrific or anything, but I would have done the Tantive 4 better. Watch the trailer right now. How many shots were new? Am I the only one who thinks the outfits look like they were designed on a budget? I think if they were designed on the budget, that's great, because that plays into the original trilogy a lot more. I liked that there were straps hanging everywhere in the ships so that people could like grab onto like cargo ships and that kind of thing. I thought that all played really well. The AT-ACT just tanking the rocket was hilarious. When the AT-AT started thundering through, I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. I was so excited when I saw the AT-ATs going nuts. Oh boy, we got another Timpedia meme. Oh god. That meme should not be sent to me, because there are people who are still holding out of the EU more fiercely than ever. I also love when they shot too. Yeah. Saw has to reset his medical droid because he thinks it would be more ethical for him to die instead of being treated. Saw had geonogen insecticide in his lungs. Huh. Wow, that's pretty cool. Saw was good. No, his whole disease thing, where and also like where he's when Saw is like putting on the mask and everything. Yeah, this adds weight to the war. Exactly. That's what I was talking about earlier when Cassian kills the guy in the beginning. That adds so much more weight. Like when he's talking, like it makes it much more punch when he talks about later when they're building the Rogue One's crew to leave. When he's like, we've been assassins, we've been spies, but you gave us hope, or whatever he said. I forget. All that kind of stuff. That has so much more impact when you see him kill a guy at the beginning of the movie. It's like, yeah, you are an assassin, and you are turning around, and you are going through character development, and I thought that was great. Jurassic Park vibe, that was great, yeah. I'm fine with that. More things can do the cool Jurassic Park coming out of the mist when you know it's coming thing. I'm fine with that. Gotta love how there are some people who think that Rogue One is a sequel to The Force Awakens. Yep, there will always be some idiots. Luckily, they didn't cater to them too hard. If you please keep the stream in a playlist something because I'm lagging so hard. That's fine, Bane. It's gonna be up on the YouTube. It's gonna. Don't worry. This video's not going anywhere, guys. But yeah, people who are like, "Oh, it's a sequel to The Force Awakens." No. Why? Why do you think that? Do you just ignore like marketing, or are you just so stupid? Like, oh boy, Syndros, another meme incoming. There it is. That one's funny. We are standing amongst my achievement, not yours. Man, you guys are really going at it with the memes. Let me pull that one up. Where is this one? No. Oh my god. No, it's this one. Yes, here we go. What is the U-Wing? Was the U-Wing the thing? The ship that they flew for Rogue One? That's funny, Syndros. X-Wings, Y-Wings, A and B-Wings, and now U-Wings. Was that the U-Wing? I don't understand. How are you finding Thrawn and Rebels? I'm not watching Rebels. I haven't watched Rebels at all. Still probably won't. Catalyst prequel novel shows a lot of background between the rivalry of Tarkin and Krennic. Seemingly retconned the Dreadnought along with the Hypori. Well, that's cool. One of my favorite quotes from the movie was when Vader... More so, there are some people who say they like Star Wars, but only pay attention to the movies. Well, they can like Star Wars in the movies. Don't choke on your aspirations. Yeah, no, that... I hated that quote. I think Vader making a... As I said this way before, Vader making a pun was pretty terrible. I think that choke on your aspirations says way too much about him being meta and being like, oh, I'm force choking you. No one calls it the force choke in the movie, so that means the writers were trying to be clever and having reference as force choke. Yeah, it was basically the Falcon. The U-Wing was the ship that dropped off the reinforcements for the Rogue One team. That's the ship they were on at the beginning of the movie. Why is that a U-Wing? Ugh. The transport gunship. Yeah. I don't know why that's called the U-Wing. But whatever. It's fine by me. It was a cool looking ship, I guess. It was alright. Not a terrible design, actually. Catalyst, they mentioned the battle from the Clone Wars 2D show with the Jedi ambush. Huh. Vader was awesome at the end, yep. The U-Wing is the transport with the X-Wing engines. Okay, that's what I figured maybe been the case. I don't know why you're calling it why they'd call it the U-Wing, but it looked fine. It looked cool. Oh, the stupid repeated X-Wing engines. It was a decent looking ship. Oh, this movie a hot mess. I'm sorry you feel that way, Gus. One day everything... Because it looks like a U. Kinda. I mean, the X-Wing is and the Y-Wing are the easiest. The B-Wing is like how. The A-Wing's like how. I don't know. All the wings after X and Y kind of just are like, okay, if you really want to stretch it and say that, sure, fine, whatever. I wonder if there will be a 501st Vader's Fist movie? Probably not, because there was no I don't think in the new canon there's been any implication that they even really exist. I could be totally wrong here. Totally making stuff up, but that's what I think. But what do I know? Can we have a Rogue Squadron anthology? Am I going to join the full bandwagon? Oh, no. I'm not on the Disney bandwagon at all. I just have more hope for other new Star Wars things. I'm probably never going to get back into reading new books. But I have more hope. I'll say this. This movie, Rogue One has given me more hope for the Han Solo movie to be less crap. I have almost no faith in Episode 8 still, just because I really don't like a lot of the new characters, but I'll probably go see it, and I'll probably just hold out for the Han Solo movie. That one I'm really excited for. had something to do with the wings folding out. That's probably what it was, but I just, like... I don't know, I just didn't love the... I mean, the U-wing was cool. It was a functional design. I guess the Rebels needed a transport. That was okay. Gus, I'm sorry you felt that way. In the EU, there was an H-wing. I remember the K-wing. I don't remember the H-wing. Han Solo movie doesn't need to exist. Fair enough. Boba Fett movie is so far away. I don't even know if... I don't know what my life will be like by the time a Boba Fett movie comes out. I'm hoping to move out this year into my own place with my girlfriend, so I can't even look forward barely to the Han Solo movie, much less to a Boba Fett movie in like 4 years. Possibly Han Solo's the most overrated character. Oh no, Han Solo's not overrated. No. What actor would you choose for young Han Solo? I don't know actors. I have no idea. I'll leave that up to the casting people. I'll judge whether or not I think he's good, but... I mean, like, I remember when Civil War was coming out, it was like, this is who they got for Spider-Man, this little kid, and he turned out fantastic, so... What do you think about Disney possibly making an Obi-Wan movie with Ewan McGregor? Why? This is so pointless. They're gonna wait for him to get old to make that, but, like, why? What's the point of an Obi-Wan movie with Ewan McGregor? We know where his life goes. He stays on Tatooine. Don't give me some BS about him sneaking off Tatooine to do missions. He would never endanger Luke like that. I don't think that's a good part of his character. We don't need any more Maul stuff. Like, the fact that Maul is alive is a huge part of why I don't want to watch Clone Wars and Rebels. I don't want to watch more Maul stuff. Maul was never a good villain. He was a cool guy with a cool lightsaber in Episode 1, and that's all he should have been. I don't care about Maul, and it makes me care so much less about other new Star Wars stuff that Maul is still a thing. Is a Yoda movie a thing? There shouldn't be a Yoda movie. Hello, MG Gaming. He's boring and uninteresting. Yeah, Maul sucks. As long as the Han movie doesn't use the I shot first line, that would be a problem. That would definitely hinder my enjoyment of a Han Solo movie more than almost anything else. I'll give you that. If he mentions shooting something first, unless it's like with Lando and he's like, I shot it first. No, I shot it first. That'd be kind of funny. Black Series Reagan figure. What? What is... Oh, Revan. Black Series Revan. I can't care about action figures because they made one for Jaina Solo after Jaina Solo was declared non-canon, and yet she still won the fan vote. Like, how can I care anymore? How can I care about what figures are made when they're making frickin' figures for characters they said don't exist? Like, why? I think the Justice League will automatically suck. I don't have any interest in the DC movies. My girlfriend will make me go to them, and that's fine. But I have not enjoyed heavily a single... no DC movie has matched even some of the lowest rated Marvel movies for me. That's how much I prefer Marvel over DC in the movies. Yeah, KOTOR will never be canon. KOTOR is in that space where they're like, it's canon because we haven't written anything that contradicts it yet. That's the only reason it still survives. Maul will get killed by Obi-Wan in Rebels. Is Obi-Wan in Rebels? That's stupid. Like, Bail Organa in this movie, which was awesome, having Bail and Mon Mothma be leaders of the rebellion in this movie was fantastic. I didn't even get to mention that. And seeing Yavin again with the guy on the pad doing the scanner, oh, that was perfect. It's such a good little thing. Manta, that was a different ship. It's not the same thing. Obi-Wan is going to fight Maul in Rebels. Oh my god, that's stupid. That's the stupidest thing ever. Oh, but I was saying Bail specifically says Obi-Wan served him great in the Clone Wars. That implies that Bail has never heard of Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine since he got there. Like, it's that simple. Anything else is stupid. Like, Obi-Wan should be on Tatooine and not doing anything. That's the whole point of his character, is that he was just there doing nothing. That's how dedicated he was to protecting Luke. No, Carrie Fisher already finished filming Episode 8. Would you play a Star Wars Stellaris mod? Yeah, I know Thrawn's Revenge guy. I know Corey is working on one. Probably not, because I'd have to buy Stellaris. The film grain used in the cockpit scenes. So that was actually because that's old footage, apparently. Some people are saying that that's old Episode 4 footage, which would be so cool. I didn't notice the film grain, though, because I was just freaking out over the fact that they had those characters in there. Red 5 going to... Red 5's dead, no. Oh, no, Red 5, no. He is on Tatooine. Yes, but no one should know that Obi-Wan's on Tatooine, because as soon as one person learns about it, everyone's going to know about it, because everyone knew about this Imperial pilot 5 seconds after he defected. The Galactic Republic only existed for 1,000 years? What? Are you serious? Yeah, Carrie Fisher's parts for Episode 8 are already done. So she'll be in Episode 8, and that's it. And then they'll figure out what to do with Episode 9. Maul sees him in a vision hiding? That's so lame. Oh my god, that's so stupid. What? Man, if they had just read the books about Maul, Maul was just a dumb assassin. Maul was like the perfect assassin. He was really good at that. He's like Hitman. Hitman would never be a Sith Lord. Hitman is just the guy who kills people. He merged a Sith holo... Oh my god, that's stupid. Man, and suddenly I have no desire to watch or read Rebels or Clone Wars again. He merged a Sith and Jedi holocron. That is so stupid. Yeah, J Far, when this video is over, you should go back and watch the beginning, because I talked about how I would do the Tantive 4 scene differently. Oh my god, merging a Sith and Jedi holocron. That doesn't even make sense. What do I think of the Transformers trailer? I thought it looked okay, but like, oh boy, Optimus Prime is corrupted by purple goo and is evil. Like, the Transformers, I just don't care. Like, Opta is like, what? It seems like, from what I could gather from the trailer for the new Transformers, Optimus is probably going to basically merge with Unicron and become evil or something, and then they're going to bring him back. Grey Jedi are a thing in Rebels. Great, I'm sure they do it wrong. Holocron merging, that's fucking dumb. 1,000 generations is about 25,000 years. Like that, like Obi-Wan's saying there's 1,000 generations of Jedi. That, like, a generation is about 25 years. You could easily say that. Yeah, holocrons don't merge. It's not a thing. They're like, there is an element of the Force in a holocron, but they are not inherently Force objects. They are physical objects. I didn't see a Power Rangers trailer for the movie. You think non-canon characters should not be allowed in fan choices? Why not rename it to fan canon choices then? I think it's fine that people voted for Jaina Solo. I think that just speaks to how stupid it was to kill off the EU completely. Like, I'm glad people still love Jaina Solo. That's awesome. I'm not against that. But I just, like, that's ridiculous that they were so, like, so gung-ho about this EU shift, and they didn't even, like, make Jaina Solo be Kylo. Like, Kylo should have just been Jason. It's stupid. Ahsoka's not a Grey Jedi. She's a Jedi who, like, is in hiding. Dave Filoni bringing back... Yeah, Maul is... like I said, Maul being in the shows is so stupid. Grey Jedi are middle, not light or dark. Yeah, except Ahsoka's clearly a Jedi still and just in hiding. Jolie Bindo is a Grey Jedi. Even calling it a Grey Jedi is kind of a stretch. Like, Grey Jedi specifically... Oh, man, what book were they in? They were some in one of the books had Grey Jedi, I forget. But man, ugh. Helicopter lightsabers. Inquisicopters. Helicopter lightsabers? What? I'm not sure I'm getting... I don't think I get it. Oh, I'm sure that was in Rebels, actually. It's like every time I think I should give Rebels and Clone Wars a chance, it's like, oh, remember, Maul's still a character, and he merged 2 holocrons to have a vision of Obi-Wan. Like, get out of here. This is the stupidest thing ever. Like, God. I don't understand how Ahsoka's a gray Jedi. She probably got disillusioned with the Jedi as part of Anakin's fall, and dibba 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 dibba, and like, oh, God, stop. It's just like, why? Why? Okay, well, unless anyone has any more comments about Rogue One, I guess I'll finish. Oh, they can use their lightsabers to fly? Oh my god, that's stupid. Alright, well, where did she get gray saber crystals from? They're gray crystals? Anyway, this is devolving into a general Star Wars chat, and this is supposed to be a Rogue One discussion. So I think I'm going to ignore the chat. I'm going to give, unless anyone else has any direct comments or questions about Rogue One, or what I thought about parts of Rogue One, I think I'm going to close the chat, summarize my final thoughts, and then call it a day. Spinning lightsabers. Ugh, that fly. Yikes. I've never seen the helicopter sabers, and I don't want to, because that sounds like the stupidest thing in the history of forever. Just like a lot of the ideas in Rebels. God, I can't believe that stuff's canon. Sorry. Alright, so everyone's still just talking about Rebels. What were your thoughts about the Guadalcanal scene? What? Guadalcanal scene? What was the best part of Rogue One? The best part of Rogue One? Probably the ending. Not the whole Tantive 4 thing, but the fact that it was like just them sitting on the beach and waiting for the Death Star. Plans on the Death Star in Rogue One. What, like broke into the Death Star to get the plans? No, I like it better that they went somewhere else. Because like, you can't get off the Death Star. You just can't. Like, they couldn't play that card and then have them do it. They also couldn't have them break onto the Death Star. And then in Episode 4, they get off the Death Star again. Because then that breaks Episode 4. There's no way that that works twice. Yeah, the ending battle was pretty fantastic. Should you go see this movie? I think you should. I think this is a great Star Wars movie. Probably better than some of the prequel movies. And up there. Maybe we want the Force understand. Emo Annie will be shown in Episode 8. Yikes. Yeah, Battle of Scarif was really good. Alright, so I'm gonna start closing this. Merry Christmas. Oh god. Vader's Massacre was pretty good. Not gonna lie, that was pretty slick too. Guys, two major fight scenes were common for Afghanistan. Oh, the island fight? Yeah, that was awesome. The whole fight for the climax of the movie was awesome. Didn't they steal the plans for the Death Star in the EU? Nope. Kyle Katarr installed them from a different facility in the EU. Happy New Year, everybody. Then episode 1 and 2 and off better than the Hobblist. Yeah, probably. That sounds about right. It might even be better than episode 3 in some ways. I don't know. It's a great Star Wars movie. I'm not here to rank them all right now. I'd have to think about it a lot more. Thanks, Kid Creator. I'm gonna kind of sign off, everybody. But I'm just gonna end with some final thoughts. I'm gonna minimize the chat because I want to just focus on talking for a second. So, I think Rogue One is the spark of hope that I desperately needed to keep interested in Star Wars going forward into the future and to keep my hopes up for Star Wars. I was so excited by everything I got to see. There were definitely problems, but they were so minor in comparison to so many of the awesome moments that happened in this movie that I think it was just fantastic in the end. I think this is the new Star Wars movie that I wanted after seeing Episode 7 be just Episode 4 again. I think having something new and fresh was awesome, and now this gives me hope for the Han Solo movie. The fact that I'm basically already cutting out the final trilogy. I'll probably see Episode 8, and if that's good, maybe 9 will be good, but I don't have a ton of hope after seeing what 7 looked like. But I have a lot of hope for the Star Wars stories. If they bring more interesting directors in to do interesting stories that aren't just part of a trilogy, I think there's a lot of hope for some of the new Star Wars. I don't think I will ever be a Star Wars fan so much that I read all the books and everything again, because the more I hear about Rebels and Clone Wars, the more I feel like they are still so far off base that I can't go enjoy the expanded universe of these movies. And I think that'll be okay, because it seems pretty clear that they recognize that part of the problem with the old EU, or part of the reason that it wasn't as successful as they might have liked, is because people didn't go read that stuff, and people just don't... The movie-going public doesn't really overlap nearly as much with the reading and comic book and everything public. So they're always going to... it's always going to be references and stuff like that. So it's okay going forward, I think, to not read the books and everything. So I think I have hope again. That's so funny to me, considering the theme of this movie was hope. That once again I can kind of have hope for Star Wars going forward. It's not all going to be like Episode 7, where it's very disappointing on a lot of levels to me. So I'm excited going forward. I'm ready for a new Star Wars experience in the future. I think this movie will entertain you no matter what, even if you're not a Star Wars fan. And I think if you are a Star Wars fan, I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did. And even if you don't love it, like I think I did, I think I loved it, but even if you don't love it, I think you'll at least enjoy it. And it's a really cool story, and it's a really well done story, I think. So I'll open chat back up for one more second. If George Lucas returns to direct one of the movies, though, I will not watch it. So, anyway, close the chat. Thank you all very much for coming by to listen to my rambling thoughts on Rogue One. If you have more questions, feel free to leave a comment or something. Yeah, I think you should go see this movie, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I'll sign off with the line I posted on Twitter and Facebook. I said, and I think this summed it up almost perfectly for me, the Force is strong with this one, and I think it could make the Force strong in me again, too. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you go see Rogue One. It's still doing great, so I think a lot of you are. Comments, concerns, leave them, and I'll respond on this video. So, thank you all so much for watching. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, a day late. But thanks, everybody. See you later.